Some family stories can linger for generations. Laurie Hertzel's new memoir, Ghosts of 4th Street, takes us back to 1966 Duluth after the accidental death of her brother. She is uncovering secrets, history, and even some ghost stories. Laurie, thank you for joining us today. We were just chatting about your history as an author and also a journalist. And Duluth was the area that you grew up in. You worked there once upon a time at the paper. What made you want to write this book about your life?
Well, I had written a previous memoir about working at the News Tribune in Duluth and kind of finding my footing as a journalist. But this book was always kind of in the back of my mind. My childhood there, the neighborhood where I grew up, which was, kind of my whole world when I was little. I wanted to preserve it somehow, and I also wanted people to remember my brother who died. He died a long time ago. He was only 18, but he was a wonderful poet, and so I quote some pieces of some of the poems in this book as well.
When I was reading through and I saw the line that said you didn't call your brother his actual name until after he died. He was always referred to as a nickname as Bobby. And that really stood out to me. Grief can hit everyone differently. What was that like going through that at such a young age?
Well, first of all, the thing about names is kind of funny because I think after he died, we had to call him by his more serious name because something serious had happened, I think. He never really liked his nicknames, Bobby and Punky. He really hated Punky. All of us had nicknames. None of us liked our nicknames. But writing about that time, I was only 9 when he died. There were 10 kids in our family. He was number 1, I was number 7. So there were a lot of people between us. So he and I obviously were not close. He was 18. But I remember everything very well, but I also know that at 9, your emotions are not really fully developed. And so I had sort of almost an objective view of what was going on. I wasn't really consumed with grief because I think 9-year-olds, at least I as a 9-year-old, I was not really capable of that. So I watched and remembered and tried to figure it out. And I have actually been writing about his death since I was in high school, just trying to kind of understand it and explore it in a way that eventually turned into this book.
Well, it's so beautifully how you wrote about him.
Thank you.
And how you wrote about your family, and it feels really raw, like you really lay it out. And some of the stories that you tell include ghosts.
Yes.
Duluth is kind of a spooky town, right? We always hear about this haunted place, this haunted place. What were your experiences like with ghosts? Well,
I will say I would not put the word ghosts in the title if there weren't some actual ghost stories in there. Ghosts kind of mean a whole lot of things for the memories that we have and the people who have died, and all of these things are sort of ghosts in our lives. The ghost was, we lived with my grandparents, actually not in Duluth, but in Missouri for one summer before we moved to Duluth. And I do not remember the ghosts myself, but some of my siblings do. My mother certainly did. My aunt did. The house was profoundly haunted. There were many ghosts.
Wow.
And one of the ghosts used to walk from the upstairs through the hall, through the kitchen where my grandparents liked to play cards, and he would give my grandfather tips on the Daily Double and then go down into the basement. And I don't know if my grandfather ever won the Daily Double, but this was kind of his reason for playing the Daily Double, because the ghost told him who to bet on.
So much to talk about. I wish we could keep this interview going, but we got to wrap.
Sure.
This is available now, and I love the story. I'm really happy that you were able to come on and share it with us.
Thank you.
Ghosts of 4th Street. KARE 11 News Saturday will continue.